So let's reminisce on the career of Brian Pillman. Haven't actually done kind of an old school wrestling chronology, just going back to Brian Pillman. One of my favorites. I remember him and Steve Austin, Hollywood Blondes. But in particular, I want to talk about the Loose Cannon. World Championship Wrestling used to regularly send their stars over to do short tours with New Japan Pro Wrestling. In '95, Steve Austin was sent home from the tour early after suffering an injury. Now, he quickly resurfaced in Extreme Championship Wrestling, where he had a new character that openly criticized WCW and their management and made references to real life events. Having seen how fans reacted to Austin's new character, Pillman pitched a similar one to Eric Bischoff. Quote unquote, as the Loose Cannon, Pillman began behaving more erratically on and off camera. Some co-workers were concerned that he had really become unhinged. That's how believable he was. Other veterans, particularly Kevin Sullivan, hated him for his kayfabe breaking comments. Then there are others who had a theory that this was part of Pillman's plan to get himself fired after management repeatedly refused to grant him his release. Pillman faced Eddie Guerrero at Clash of the Champions. During the match, Pillman rode out of the ring and began sprawling around ringside. As he passed the announce table, he leaned against Bobby Heenan, grabbed the collar of his jacket. Heenan jumped to his feet and shouted, "What the fuck you doing?" at Guerrero and marched out. Heenan returned after the match and apologized for his outburst. Before Heenan had signed with WCW, he had become concerned with the health of his neck after numerous injuries and surgeries. He had a clause in his contract that guaranteed him that he would not be touched by performers. When asked why he shouted at Guerrero, he admitted that he didn't know who touched him, but I jumped to the wrong conclusion as he was watching Guerrero on a monitor when the incident happened. Less than a month later, Pillman figured out how to get out of his WCW contract. He pitched a storyline to Bischoff where he would quit the company and go work for a rival company. Once he got established on TV, he would return to WCW and announce it was all just a work. In order to make the ruse believable, he required Bischoff to genuinely terminate his contract and not tell anyone about their quote-unquote secret plan. This included what turned out to be his final WCW opponent, Kevin Sullivan. They were due to face off in I Respect You strap match. Pillman went against the scripted plan by charging the ring and attacking Sullivan with the strap before the match began. Sullivan responded with a few genuine strikes. Pillman then took the microphone and announced, "I respect you, Booker Man. I respect you." This comment gave the irate Sullivan the win and outed him publicly as WCW's main booker. Pillman quickly resurfaced in ECW then. In his debut promo, he criticized Bischoff and WCW before insulting the live crowd. Feeling that he wasn't getting the desired reaction, he announced he would yank out his Johnson and urinate in the ring. Members of ECW management and the security team rushed to the ring to stop him. The point of these actions were to build up a feud with Shane Douglas. However, Pillman's actions and comments generated heat within the locker room and other staff, and at the same time caught the interest of the WWF. They offered him a contract before his first ECW match was announced. They agreed that he would stay with ECW until he could work a match as Super Show to wrap his storyline. Instead, it would be a full year before Pillman was fit to wrestle again. In April '96, Pillman fell asleep while driving and he fell and crashed his car. He broke his ankle and was in a coma for a week. Pillman, at that point, made his official WWF debut in August. He was kept in non-wrestling roles until November, until he was put into a storyline to give him more recovery time. And in the angle, Austin broke Pillman's ankle by crushing it inside a steel chair. The spot then became formally known as Pillmanizer. In November, Pillman was involved with one of the WWF Raw's most controversial episodes, but not for the reasons that you might have heard. This was the infamous Pillman's Got a Gun episode where Pillman waved the gun at Austin after the latter broke his house. They implied there were small explosives, but didn't outright say that any shots were fired. What a great match this was. What a great feud that was. In the final segment, Pillman had cussed on live TV multiple times, while censors were able to cut. They were able to cut much of the segment. The word "fucking" was still broadcast. Pillman was finally cleared to begin wrestling again after WrestleMania 13, a full year after his accident. The surgery that Pillman had on his leg fused his ankle into a walking position. It was possible for the Pillman to use the athletic style of the Flying Brian years. Impossible. He was forced to adopt a kind of a more generic grappling and striking style to wear down his opponents. In '97, Goldust revealed publicly that he was Dustin Rhodes, the son of Dusty Rhodes, and that his valet Marlena was then wife Terry. The sole reason for this omission was to allow writers to put elements of the Rhodes family lives into the Goldust storylines. The feud with Pillman was a subtle example of this. Pillman became obsessed with Marlena, knowing full well that she was married to Goldust. At one point, Pillman won her services for 30 days. A reference is to Dusty's matches where he won an opponent's valet for 30 days. Each week, Pillman taunted Goldust with a video shot on a regular camcorder in the exact same hotel room. Pillman kept telling Goldust that he and Marlena were having constant fun, while it disgusted Marlena had nothing to challenge those claims with. While Dustin and Terry felt the emotional strain of the storyline, most fans didn't. Before Terry married Dustin, she had dated Pillman. Most fans didn't even notice. So they didn't understand that Pillman was Terry's ex. He had several run-ins with Jim Ross backstage. And the reason was Pillman kept on failing drug tests. Brian Pillman was definitely a controversial figure, and he could have been such a big star if he was just able to hang on. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but man, was he very entertaining for the years that he was around. I hope all is well.